Hello everybody, Xanathar here, and finally I seen Shin Ultraman, so let's do a review. Let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about Shinji Kadena, or I really should say Ultraman. I like the fact he's very cold and Annoan, but as the movie goes on, he becomes more human when he starts to learn about them, and that is something I really liked. I also really enjoyed his relationship with his team, but I also really thought it was amusing and quite fun to watch his relationship with Atsumi. Their friendship and the fact they call each other buddy is just really fun to watch and really sweet. Something I thought was interesting was Shin Ultraman being in trouble for merging with a human. That is very interesting and honestly kind of reminded me of Heisei Ultra 7 when Dan still offended Earthlings when he found out they were invaders, and that broke the Landlight rule and that imprisoned Dan. Something I was not expecting and I thought was really cool, the fact we heard Ultraman's real name, Ipela. That's interesting. So my thoughts on this Ultraman, I really liked him. I thought he was a very interesting character, and he did capture the spirit of the original Ultraman, but also Hayata, and I thought that was very nice. And what is my thoughts on the SSP? I really liked this version of SSP. It's as likable as the original SSP, and that's something I thought was a really good thing. All these characters are very likable and very fun to watch, especially their character quirks. I thought it was very nice, so they were good characters to me. I also thought it was interesting when the SSP and the whole world found out Kaninaga was Ultraman. I was surprised it happened so fast, or even happened at all, because the original Ultraman never had a reveal scene. Now let's talk about the villains. Anno Zara was very likable, and his plan, making humanity not trust each other, and eventually Ultraman, was very interesting, and I really enjoyed that. Let's talk about Mephiles. Mephiles was my favorite Annoan in the original Ultraman, so it's so awesome to see him in this, and I really love Mephiles in this. His plan basically came out of the Earth by basically giving Earthlings technology so they can have powers like Ultraman. Is very interesting, and I really enjoyed his character in this. He was just so cool. Now let's talk about Zulfi. I thought it was interesting the fact that Zulfi wants to terminate humanity and basically brought the weapon Zeton, and that's something I thought was interesting, honestly was not expecting. Zulfi is very different to the original Zulfi, but eventually he does learn why Ultraman loves and respects humanity so much, and that's something I thought was pretty interesting. So my thoughts on the characters, I thought they were really likable, very interesting. The characters in my opinion were good. Let's talk about the English dub. Yes, Shin Ultraman has an English dub, and what is my thoughts on it? It's very well made. The voice acting is great, and this is their first time doing a dub with the team that did the Ultraman Z dub. And that's why it's so good, because it's the same team, and it's just, the voice actors are clearly doing their best, and I really enjoyed that. I thought all the voices fit very well, and I just hope more Ultraman movies and shows will get dubs. Now let's talk about the effects. Let's talk about Shin Ultraman. When he first appears on Earth, he's all gray, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And then his face, it reminded me so much of Type A Ultraman, and that's something I thought was so cool because I have such a soft spot for that suit. And then when he reappears, he's the classic red and silver Ultraman, and he has no color timer. My thoughts without the color timer, I'm okay with it. I like the change. But they still kinda had the color timer on the way. Instead of it's blinking on his chest, his skin color changed, where he would turn green. And that's something I thought was very interesting. With Shin Ultraman's design, I really liked. Now let's talk about the Kaijus and Annoans. I really loved Naranga in this. His design was really cool looking to me. It's a nice update to his original design, but still feels like Naranga to me, and that's something I just love about this design. Gabora. I thought his design was very interesting looking. I do prefer the original more, but I liked it though. Annoan Zarab. I love how he looks up front. He looks so cool. But his bat, get they were trying to be neat with it, but it just looks so unfinished, and I'm just not a fan of it. Annoan Mephiles. His design is very skinny, he's not as fit, but that's okay. I still really like this design, and he has the best fight in this movie. Let's talk about Zulfi. I'm not the hugest fan of this design, I just wish he has some chest bolts to indicate his rank, and his cutters with him being gold and black. It looks nice, but I'm just more used to the original design, but I get it, they wanted to make sure that people can tell the difference of Ultraman and Zulfi. And Zeton. I think it was cool with the fact he's this giant weapon, and I love how huge he is, but I do prefer the OG Zeton design. So what is my thoughts on the CGI? The CGI in this is not bad. I really enjoyed it. I love how cuttable it is. And Ultraman and the Kaijus, the Annoans, feel like they have weight to them. They honestly feel like suits still to me, and that's something I really enjoyed. Especially when Ultraman is flying. It feels like one of those Showa props where Ultraman used to fly, and that's awesome to me. What is my thoughts on the music? It was nice to hear a bunch of classic Showa themes from the original Ultraman. That's awesome. I thought it was really cool the fact they played that one Shin Godzilla song. And the new soundtrack is really good. So just the music, it's just awesome. Now, what did I like about Shin Ultraman? I love the opening in this because it's just a giant reference to Ultra Q. It's playing the Ultra Q opening. It's showing so many Ultra Q kaijus. I think my favorite was Shin Gomez, because it's just a redesigned Shin Godzilla, and that's hilarious because Gomez was made by a reused Godzilla suit, and that's just so funny they did that again. Speaking of Shin Godzilla, another thing I really loved was the title. When it transitioned to Shin Godzilla and then it turned into Shin Ultraman, that's funny because it's kind of a reference to the original Ultraman with the title translating to Ultra Q and then Ultraman. That is just awesome. And there's just so many beautiful references to the original Ultraman in this movie. So what is my final thoughts for Shin Ultraman? I'm a huge fan of Anno. My favorite anime is Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I was so hyped when I found out he was going to make an Ultraman movie because he is an Ultraman fan. And my thoughts on this movie? This movie is a beautiful love letter to the original Ultraman. It's basically a remake of some episodes from the original Ultraman, and I thought that was very interesting to see and seeing Anno's take on it. I love this movie as an Ultraman fan and as an Anno fan. Well, that is it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me down below what you think of Shin Ultraman. And if you're new, subscribe. If you like this video, drop a like for this video. Xanathar is out.